My Thursday started out beautifully. Cal and I had sex one last time before he slipped out of my hotel room and I had to get ready to go home. God, I miss you more and more each time. That was incredible. Are you sure you can't get away more often? You should know better, Cal. Only on a schedule, and that's only 3 or 4 times a year. Now get off my back so I can take a shower. You need to go before it's too late. Remember to check the door before you go out? I remember. Are you sure I can't call you every now and then? Just for work? No! No contact until the next time I'm here. Now go! Go away! I waited for the door to close and walked into the room. Thinking back to last night, I felt a shiver of delight, as always. I laughed to myself and headed for the shower. It wasn't long before I had to meet Penny in the lobby for my flight back to Newark. When I got downstairs, Penny was already there waiting for me. She had no idea what I had done with Cal last night or any other night in the last 2 years when we had traveled to Chicago together. She talked non-stop, and I listened, half my attention on her and the other half on the events of last night. I'd missed a night with Cal, too, but there was another one coming up, just like the last one. We took the shuttle to the airport and boarded our plane home. It arrived on time, and that just added to my joy. This trip was very enjoyable, and I reminisced about it and others while napping in my chair. Monday evening, Penny and I landed in Chicago and caught a cab to the Hilton Hotel where we were staying. We usually made this trip once a quarter, meeting with the consumer affairs people who answered all the correspondence we received about our products and our services. We manufactured disposable medical products, bandages, creams, rubber products, surgical trays, and other small devices that the FDA considered medical devices. We kept them informed about all of our products, the trials we had done and their results, new products that were just being planned, and just general information. We also gave them answers to questions so they had general information. My name is Sharon Mills, Penny Larson, and I worked as design engineers for Baxter Healthcare, a large manufacturer of medical and hospital products. My husband Jason worked as a senior manager in the design department at Walters Power Generation Systems, and he rarely had to travel. He didn't mind my need to travel and always encouraged me to do what I felt was necessary to advance my own career. We planned to start a family, but that was for later. I wanted to see how far I could go before I made the decision to quit my job and become a mother. Jason was disappointed. He wanted an earlier start, but he never denied me my dreams and aspirations. When Penny and I traveled to Chicago, we flew together and usually stayed for 2 days and 3 nights, leaving New Jersey on Monday and flying home on Thursday. Our meetings would start Tuesday morning and end early Wednesday morning. Consumer Affairs, or CA, set up the meetings and organized our days, and usually on Tuesday night we had dinner with the major players in CA and some other managers who were tangentially interested in what we had to say. It was mostly about new products for the sales and marketing staff. One of the sales executives was Cal Proctor. He and I had met a few years ago, and I found him very interesting. He was a few years younger than me, but he was charming and flirted with me constantly. One day I asked him why he was interested in a woman much older than me. He bluntly told me that he found me arousing and very sexy. His words awakened something inside me, and I began to wonder if we could be more than just friends. Penny always chided me, reminding me that we were here on business and that I was a happily married woman. I assured her that it was completely harmless and that I had no intention of doing anything about it. I had been married to Jason Mills for 5 wonderful years when Penny and I traveled to Chicago for my 3rd quarter reunion. We arrived as usual, spent the evening over dinner and a few drinks in the lounge, and then went to our rooms to prepare for the next day's meetings. On Tuesday, everything went according to plan, and the evening was enjoyable, and Cal and the others, as always, did their best to make us feel welcome. Wednesday, it was the same again, and we finished pretty early. The CA guys were happy to get whatever they wanted. We caught a cab back to the hotel, got dressed for dinner, and relaxed. The job was done. Penny was tired and we went back to our rooms to go to bed early. I had just finished talking to Jason when the phone rang again. I answered it and found it was Cal. He was in the hall asking if I wanted to have a drink with him in the living room. I hesitated, thinking it might be a bad idea, but agreed and joined him. He was dressed casually and looked quite relaxed, and I ordered a mixed drink. I told myself again that this was a mistake, but decided that nothing would happen as long as I was in control. Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and after 2 or 3 drinks, not enough to make me lose control, but enough to loosen my inhibitions, I found myself unlocking the door to my room and Cal's arm around my waist. The next few hours were filled with intense pleasure as Cal showed me a world of sexual looseness I had only dreamed of. I did things for him that I never thought I would do for Jason. I wish I could say I was overwhelmed with remorse and guilt the next morning when I saw Cal slip out of my room just before dawn. I wish I could say that I told Cal that it should never happen again. I wish I could say all that, but I couldn't. All I could think about was that it was over, and I would have to wait another 3 months before I could enjoy it again. Cal and I had promised to see each other the next time I came to Chicago, and I was honoring every word. After the way I'd behaved that night, I could only assume Cal would want to do it again. After all, I was his personal minx, willing to do anything. As I dressed for the trip to the airport, I remembered that I was a married woman and that Jason couldn't know what I was doing. On the plane back to Newark, I found that I could categorize the night with Cal as a separate night, separate from my life with Jason and having nothing to do with our lovemaking. It was sex, wild, depraved sex with no rules or boundaries. I loved Jason, and I couldn't let him think that about me. But Cal wasn't my husband, and I had nothing to prove to him. Everything I did for me, and he was just a tool to allow me to experience something different. As we prepared to board, I thought one last time that as long as Jason didn't find out about Cal, there was no danger. At home that night, I gave Jason the loving time he had been looking forward to while I was gone for a few days. We made love, real love, completely different from the love I had given Cal. I was a little more adventurous that night, and Jason seemed to like it, so I decided that from now on I would ask him if he had any fantasies. This would allow me to introduce some of the less offensive things Cal and I had done without arousing suspicion. After that, Jason and I became more frank, and I liked it. Jason gave no signs that he suspected anything, and I relaxed. I was safe, and I had my love. For the next 3 months, I thought of nothing but pleasing my husband. Cal was forgotten until the next trip. Time passed, and Cal came to my room on every trip to Chicago without anyone realizing it. I would call Jason on Wednesday nights and talk to him until late at night, and then Cal and I would have sex until the early hours of the morning. A few times Cal overheard my conversation with Jason, but I made him stay away from me and keep quiet. I loved Jason, and our conversations with him stayed just between Jason and me. Nothing could distract Cal from that, and he understood. In the second year of our infrequent meetings, I was surprised when he told me that he had met and married someone in the last year, and I was afraid he would stop our meetings, but he didn't miss a single one. The plane landed, the trip was over, and it was time to get back to my life as Jason's wife. When we got to baggage claim, I started looking for my husband, but he was nowhere to be seen. Usually, Jason picked me up from the airport, but this time, as I walked down the steps, I saw a uniformed driver holding a sign with my name on it. I checked the time to make sure I was on time. It was just over 10:30 in the morning, so we arrived as expected. I walked up, introduced myself, and asked where my husband was. The driver shrugged, said he had been hired to pick me up, and asked where my bags were. Penny and I stood around while the bags came down, and then, taking mine, I waved goodbye to her and her husband and left with the driver. I was anxious to get this trip over with, and I was relieved when the car pulled into my driveway, But as I entered the house, I noticed the silence and emptiness almost immediately. As I walked through the rooms, I noticed that there was something wrong with each room. Something was missing, and it took me a few seconds to realize that all the things that weren't there were things Jason thought were important. I finally made my way to the kitchen, sank down in one of the chairs at the table, and tried to visualize what was going on. It was then that I noticed the envelope pinned to the refrigerator. I got up to take it down and returned to the chair to open it. It was addressed to me, Sharon. Nothing else. No hearts or affectionate words. I suddenly felt cold. A shiver ran down my back. I had a premonition that there was something bad in the envelope, something I didn't want to see. I think my subconscious had already put it all together and come to a devastating conclusion, but my conscious mind didn't want to accept those conclusions yet. Until it was proven, it wasn't true. Until I opened the envelope, nothing was real. I put it down and stared at it for a long time, but finally, realizing I had no choice, I opened it. Inside were 3 pages, typewritten and double-spaced. I looked at the top page and saw the name of a private detective service based in Chicago. At the bottom of the last page was someone's signature and a list of attachments. I set the report aside without reading it and looked inside the envelope. I saw several pictures and pulled out a few of them. They were pictures of Cal going in and out of the room. There were also pictures of the room number and a copy of my credit card receipt that showed the room rate. For now, I hoped he only had circumstantial evidence of my deception. If I tried really hard, I could come up with a story that would make up for the weak evidence. I had no choice but to call Cal and we could work something out. I started breathing again, and the fear subsided a little. I looked into the envelope again and pulled out a few more pictures that had been left inside. As soon as I looked at those pictures, my heart dropped. Somehow these pictures were taken in my hotel room. It looked like someone had built a camera into the smoke detector mounted on the wall directly above my bed. There was no longer any doubt. In one of the pictures, we were with each other. Our faces were clearly visible. I threw the photo away as if it was on fire, but realized it was useless. It didn't matter now. My plan to come up with some stupid story was a failure before it even started. I stood up and poured myself a glass of water. My throat was dry, my face flushed, and I was shivering. I sipped the water, looking out the window above the sink and trying to pull myself together. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I wasn't going to give up without a fight. My marriage was my life, and I couldn't lose it. I loved Jason with all my heart, and even though I had done something stupid, I was going to make him realize that this was all separate and had nothing to do with him or my love for him. He would understand if I just talked to him and explained everything. I went to the den where we kept the phone book. I thought he might be at his sister's in Delaware. She lived in Dover, and they kept in touch. She was married and had 2 little ones, a boy and a girl, just as Jason and I had hoped when I decided to quit my job. I just wasn't ready for it. I decided not to go down that path. That path led to danger and entrapment. Turning on the desk lamp, I found another letter addressed to me. It was handwritten, and I recognized Jason's handwriting. I grabbed it in excitement and tore it open. There were 2 pages inside, written in Jason's jagged handwriting. I said a prayer and began. Sharon, not my dear wife, not Sharon, my love, but just Sharon. As I read on, my heart raced. Now all that was left was to read what Jason had to say. You've already seen the photos and the coroner's report, so you know that I know about your meeting with Cal Proctor when you went to Chicago. I'm sure that on the last 2 occasions, and I assume it went on longer than that, every time you went there, you spent your last night with him. The pictures I left you are just a few of the ones my investigator gave me. Most of them were too hard for me to look at, so I burned them. The betrayal was almost unbearable for me, but it was important for me to know the extent of your treachery. I should have known, and now that I know, I wish I had known. I had hoped it was a simple affair, a one-time thing that I would find the strength to forgive, But it wasn't. It was planned. It was ongoing, and it was horrible in the details. The pictures I looked at convinced me that I could never forgive or forget what I saw. What you did to him, you and I never did or even discussed. Now I know where the suggestions to try something new came from. You did it with him first. I don't know why you did that to us. Why you wanted another man in your bed and in your life, and in a life I knew nothing about and had no part in. I wonder how often Cal Proctor was in our bed when I made love to you. I was only with you, but you were with both of us. It was the worst betrayal of all. When I made love to you, who were you thinking of? Did you even know? Did you compare me to him? I know I was. And after seeing what you did to him, the thought of it humiliates me. I've arranged for Walt Seymour to represent me in our divorce. The papers have been filed, and I've decided it won't be my fault. I have no desire to tell the whole world about your infidelity and publicly humiliate myself any more than you already have. So from now on, please tell Walt who you want to represent you. I have already moved my stuff out of the house, so you can stay in it until it is sold as part of the settlement agreement. Know that I loved you with all my heart. I wish you all the best. Jason. I sat and watched the letter fall to the floor, my eyes filling with tears and my heart breaking. Admittedly, I was surprised. Surprised that it had happened at all, and surprised that it had surprised me. But why was I surprised? I had never considered myself naive, never been blind to what was going on around me. For example, I was an excellent driver, always noticing what was around me and what other people were doing, especially when it came to me and my life, so how could this take me by surprise? I looked around the room and paid attention to the little things. The picture of Jason and I on the cruise we'd taken last year for our wedding anniversary still hung above the fireplace, but the picture of Jason getting ready to go cliff diving in Maui was gone. Other things were gone too, pictures of his parents, an award he received for saving money for his company, a few souvenirs Jason treasured. They were all gone. Only things with my picture, or that meant only to me, remained. Jason had taken his life and carried it away from our home. I knew that if I went upstairs to our bedroom, I would find the same thing. In a burst of optimism that none of this was happening for real, I ran upstairs, and the first thing I did was look in his closet. Empty. Then I rushed to the bathroom and checked his side of the full-length purse. Empty. His nightstand was the same. All the things he kept in the drawer were gone. The book he was reading, the cream he used to smear on the callus on his elbow, the nail clippers, the sleeping tablets, and finally, the little things he treasured. There was nothing of Jason left in the room we'd shared for the past 7 years. I undressed, lay on the bed, and buried my face in the pillow, letting the tears flow without trying to stop them. I cried for the loss of my innocence, for the loss of my naivety. I cried for not knowing what could happen to me when I chose to betray my husband and my marriage. I asked heaven why this had happened to me, and was saddened to receive the answer that my own selfishness and base desires were to blame. Both were under my control, and both things I had learned to control as a child. So how had I allowed them to cloud my judgment now that I was an adult? How could I have been so blind to believe that I could continue this behavior without consequences? I cried over the loss of everything I held dear. It was almost noon when I finally got up and washed my face to somehow regain some sense of life. I was exhausted, no tears left. I started thinking again, making plans to fight. Fight like hell for my marriage and my husband's love. I might fail utterly, but fighting for a lost cause takes more strength than just walking away. And I wasn't weak. I had made a huge mistake and made some very stupid choices in my life, but I wasn't ready to give up yet. I went downstairs and called Penny, telling her that something had come up and that I wouldn't be at work tomorrow. She wanted to talk and get the details, but I told her that I had to hurry and that we would talk later. Eventually she agreed, and I hung up. The next number I dialed was for Shannon, Jason's sister in Dover. When she answered, I asked if Jason had contacted her lately, and she answered in the negative. I talked some more, and when I hung up, I decided that Jason hadn't told her about his plans, and certainly hadn't contacted her. That left only his office. I dialed his office number and got to Hilda, his secretary. Hilda and I were close friends and had known each other throughout my marriage. I asked her about Jason and where he was, and she hesitated and said she would call me back within the hour. By the time she called, it was almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I answered, hoping it was Jason, but it was her. She said she needed to get out of the office to call me since Jason had made her promise not to answer my questions when I called. She decided that if she called me from outside the office, her promises didn't apply. What she told me threw me off balance, but it was information I needed to get if I was going to fight. She told me the following. Jason tried to quit, but was talked into staying when his boss realized his reasons for wanting to leave. He offered him a transfer to Tennessee to do the same job but on a larger scale. It was a promotion, and Jason gladly accepted. He moved within the next 2 weeks. He also made it clear to Hilda and the secretary that he would not be taking my phone calls at any time. They had to tell me that he was unavailable. He didn't tell them why, but Hilda found out from her boss's secretary. She asked me what the hell I was thinking, but I ignored her. I had more important questions. I got his personal number from the Tennessee plant, and I already had his cell phone number and new address. Hilda gave me 2 more important details. Jason had a dinner date tonight at the Savoy with his boss and the boss's wife. They were to meet at 7. And finally, she gave me the address of his new apartment. I knew where it was. I now had all the information I needed. Now I had to devise a plan to contact Jason and get him to listen to me. I needed time to talk to him and convince him that I loved him, that I realized how much I had hurt him, and that I would make it up to him if I had the chance. I decided that going to his house when he was getting ready for dinner was the best way to accomplish this. I had to be there, and Jason had to listen to me, even if I had to make a scene. I pulled up to his office building and waited outside to see his car. It was almost 5 o'clock, and it was time for Jason to leave to go back to his apartment. When I saw him get out of his car, I slumped down in my seat so he wouldn't see me, even though I was out of his line of sight. I waited for him to start the car. When he got out of the car and headed towards his apartment, I followed. I pulled in behind him, stopped while he parked, and went inside. As soon as he got in, I did the same thing and walked up to his apartment door and knocked. I knew he would see me if he looked through the peephole, but I was going to stand there all day if I had to. I was going to talk to him, even if I had to wait for him to come back out. I shouldn't have bothered because he just opened the door and saw me standing there. A look of surprise appeared on his face, which was quickly replaced with anger. He started to close the door, but I squeezed past him and slipped inside before he could stop me. He turned, stared at me for a few seconds, and then closed the door. "Why are you here? You have nothing to say that I want to hear. Why can't you just go back to your lover and leave me alone? Haven't you hurt me enough?" He looked at me, and I could see his chest heaving with anger. "Oh no, Jason, please don't say he isn't my lover. You are my only lover. That man in Chicago had nothing to do with love. It was just sex. He can never replace you, and you should know that. I love you, Jason, and I will never replace you. You have to believe that. I never stopped loving you, even when I was with him, and I never compared you to him. When I left Chicago, I came home to you and I never thought about him. I never talked to him, wrote to him, or communicated with him on the phone or email. Nothing once I left Chicago." "Really? You never thought about him at all? How can I believe that? And you say you love me? We made a promise to each other when we got married, and I kept my promise to you. There's never been anyone in my life but you. You can't say the same, can you? Give up on everyone else? You slept with him for years. And you came back to me? Let's see." Do you realize that as soon as I found out about you and Mr. Cal Proctor, I stopped making love to you? Do you know how long ago that was? I'll tell you. Almost 9 weeks ago. You didn't notice because you'd already started talking about your next trip to Chicago. I heard about it over and over, and when you got home tonight, you were talking to Penny about it. You were already starting to think about your sexual relationship with Cal Proctor. You were only thinking about that, not about me or making love to me. Only about your sessions with Proctor. You forgot about loving your husband because you were thinking about sleeping with that bastard. The shock of his words was like a bomb going off in my head. 9 weeks! 9 weeks since he found out and stopped making love to me? How could I not have noticed that? How could I not notice that my husband had closed himself off from me? The only way out was to say that I had already begun to value my time with Cal more than my husband. This revelation was beyond me. I broke down and started crying again. I had such high hopes for this conversation. I was going to prove to him that Cal was nothing and my husband was everything, but even in my own mind it wasn't true. What was I supposed to do now? How could I save my marriage and the only man I truly loved? Even though I cherished my time with Cal too much, I had already put him in the past. I would never see him again, but love had nothing to do with it. I never loved Cal. Never. Jason, please. Let me make it up to you. Let me prove that I love you. It's over with Cal. I'll never see him again, and I'm giving up on Chicago. I'm not even going there anymore. Please. You have to come back to me. Whatever you want, I'll do it. Just tell me, please. Give me another chance. Jason looked at me, and I could see the seriousness with which he spoke the next words. If you love me, please go away. Let me go. I can't forget what I saw, and I can never forgive what you did. This wasn't a one-time simple affair. It was pre-planned, and you loved it. You did it over and over again and never told me about it. You never would have stopped if I hadn't found out. You know it's true. You know it, and I can never forgive you. I'm sorry, but my love died when I looked at pictures of you and him. Each picture destroyed a piece of my love, and when I was done, it was gone. I still can't get them out of my head even now, even though I burned most of them. I still see you with him when I close my eyes. It's finally getting better, but it takes time. Time I need away from you. So please go away. I sat there realizing it was over. I had nothing else to defend myself with, and I knew he was right. I had never had any thoughts of ending the relationship, and I had even worried when Cal got married that he might leave. How could I love Jason so much and yet act like this? I didn't have an answer, and if I couldn't answer my own questions, how could I convince him? I didn't stand a chance. I stood up, kissed Jason on the cheek, and walked to my car to start my life without him. When that day began, I was married to a man I loved and who loved me. I had a life I loved and a future that seemed limitless. I woke up in another city having hot sex with my lover and anticipated making sweet love to my husband in the evening. But the day ended with the destruction of my marriage and the loss of the only man I had ever truly loved. How could one day change my life so drastically? The aftermath is trashy. It was one of the happiest evenings of my life, a pearly 30th wedding anniversary, celebrated with family and friends, many of whom had been to our wedding all those years ago. Carl looked particularly handsome. He was always trim and strong. The slight gray on his temples hinted at a future silver fox look, but his piercing blue eyes never changed. I could only hope he looked at me the same way. I was already 52, but I was still trim and weighed only 7 pounds more than I had on our wedding day. I bought an elegant evening gown and new-heeled shoes for our party and spent all day getting ready. It was so nice to welcome old friends and our now-grown children, nephews, and nieces. They did most of the work of organizing the evening. We dispensed with speeches and just told everyone to have a good time. Later, Call asked me to dance. Everyone stopped and looked at us. It was so reminiscent of our wedding night. Call smiled at me. His look was a little sad. "Thank you for 30 wonderful years of marriage." I replied, "Thank you, you are the perfect husband. I couldn't be happier with our life together." "You've been a great wife." I thought Cole's answer sounded a little lame and weird, and we continued dancing before he spoke again. "You're doing well. I think I've only seen you glance at him once all evening." "I'm sorry, what? Who do you mean?" "Don't start lying, Laura. It's beneath your dignity, and after 30 years of loyalty, I think I deserve the truth." Silence. "Okay. If you're going to play dumb and allow no doubt, I'm referring to your boss and lover, Charles Davenport. Unlike you, he can't take his eyes off you." I suddenly felt very sick, and I thought I could fake it. Tears came to my eyes. I hoped outsiders would think I was overwhelmed with emotion over our anniversary. "Don't cry, Laura. It's your own fault, and keep dancing if you don't want everyone to know about the problem." I didn't deny anything or ask how he knew. He deserved better than that. "I'm sorry." "No, I don't think so. If you were sorry, you wouldn't have come back. It's a planned, deliberate, and repeated act." "It's not that simple," my voice murmured. "It seems simple enough. An affair with a rich boss. How long has it been going on?" "I don't know exactly. Probably a few months." We kept dancing. All eyes, including the kids, were fixed on us. God, if they knew what the conversation was about, I would die. "How often do you see him?" "We travel every few weeks for work. Nothing inappropriate in the office. It's not what you think. It's not wild, passionate sex. It's what I have you for." "Then why? Because usually a woman needs more than her husband can offer." "No, never!" It was more friendship and comfort than anything else after he lost Lucy. He was depressed, and I was trying to help him come to his senses. Cole laughed. "How noble. I imagine you spread your legs, and he was delighted." "Don't. It wasn't that dirty. It was loving and caring." "It's love. I mean, do you love him, Laura?" "I have feelings for him, but not like I have for you. It's so confusing right now." "It doesn't have to be confusing if you love someone enough, and you seem to love me enough to hurt me." "I never meant to do that. I never thought about you finding out." We continued to dance, and a few other couples joined us around the edges, again like our wedding night. "Come on, Laura, you knew the consequences. It's a betrayal to us, regardless of what I've learned. Isn't this the moment when you swear your boundless love to me? Tell me it was all a terrible mistake and that you'll never see him again." "I'm not sure what he'd do if I left him. He's been very depressed before." "Just miserable or clinically depressed." "Don't be so cruel. He was miserable. I thought he might get to the point where it was over." The song ended. "Well, let's go and talk to the person in question." "My God, you're not going to make a scene here, are you?" "Depends on what the jerk says." As we approached, Call looked disdainfully at Charles's outstretched hand and left it hanging. Charles jerked his hand away with a confused look on his face. "I would like you to tell me about your relationship with my wife and how you had the nerve to show up at our wedding anniversary party." Charles started to stutter in response. "I don't know what you're talking about." I interrupted him. He knows Charles, and there's no point in denying it. Charles nodded, quickly regaining his businesslike appearance. "The truth is, I love Laura. I'm sorry it hurts you, but I can't regret my feelings for her. She saved me. If it hadn't been for her kindness, I'm not sure I'd be here. I wasn't trying to be sneaky with the party. I just thought it would be weird if I didn't come, since everyone else from work is here." "Yeah, using your late wife to seduce a married woman is pretty low even for you." "Fuck you. That's not what I did. We just bonded over grief, and I was all about work. You lost your wife and took mine, and you felt bad, so it's okay. Is that the line you're trying to draw?" I interrupted. "He didn't take me. I'm still here, and I'm still your wife." Cole roared. "We can fix that, my dear, but I'm sure you'll fall on your feet or on your back. Your lover can offer you all the money and trappings since he has regained his health." I looked around, concerned that people were beginning to take notice of us. "You better leave before I lose my temper, you little piece of shit." Cole turned to me as Charles quickly strode away. "Keep your game face on for another 30 minutes and then we'll leave. It won't be hard for you. You're used to lying. I'd rather the kids didn't find out about this fucking travesty after all the effort they put in for us today." I nodded, suppressing a sob as my heart burst with pain for him. "Today's marriage celebration seems like a fitting end, don't you think?" I corrected myself, finding anger in me. "Don't be so ridiculous. We're not breaking up over this. We can fix it." With those words, I briskly strode away, trying to make it to the bathroom before I broke down. I wasn't looking for an affair. After all, I was happily married to a great guy. My boss, Charles, flirted all the time, and I enjoyed it, although it never went any further than that. That all changed when his wife, Lucy, died. He was so sad you could see the lifeblood literally draining out of him, a sociable extrovert who had an endless stream of jokes and could make people feel good about themselves. I tried to cheer him up, and we all did. And as a result, we started having lunches together. It was on business trips that we became closer. I knew it helped him cope with his grief, and it felt so natural to spend time together. Sex was secondary. I thought about telling Cock about it, but there was no way he would agree to that. Women who do that must be so naive. It's potentially worse than the affair itself. It hurts a man's pride and ego, and it's not something to take lightly or brush off. In fact, I thought I could get away with it without hurting him, because he would never know. As soon as Charles came to his senses, he swept me off my feet. He was so grateful. It seemed that in his eyes I could do no wrong and was his savior. I told myself that we needed to stop, that a crisis had been averted, but no sooner had I talked myself out of it than he made me laugh again and feel so good. Charles was more sophisticated than Cole. He had an easy charm and confidence about him that I liked. He was determined and in many ways the complete opposite of my calm and judicious husband. The worst-case scenario for me was if Cole found out. I thought it through and prepared excuses that I really didn't like hurting him. Which, by the way, was 100% true. I loved him more than anything. I was less sure of that now. I had serious feelings for Charles. Truth be told, I wasn't so sure of that anymore. If asked, I would have said I was in love with both men. I was sure that Cole would forgive me. He was so in love and devoted to me that I just couldn't see us breaking up no matter what I did. How did he know about it since we were so careful? On our wedding anniversary, he asked me directly about it. I hesitated and couldn't look him in the eye. I knew it was pointless to deny and get angry at the accusation. The next day I was sitting with Cole. He looked drained as he turned to me. "You don't seem too stressed about it. Maybe you don't care." "That's not true. I love you. I really care about you." "And him. Don't forget you care about him. You can't even give up that bastard for me." I tried again to explain about depression, friendship, and Charles's growing feelings. And then Cole surprised me by asking about the purpose of my upcoming business trip. My answer sounded weak even to myself. Nothing that couldn't be accomplished in a phone conversation with the team. "It sounds like it's all very carefully planned, and the business trip is just another ploy to cover up your affair." I tried to explain that it wasn't really an affair. "Okay then, to hide that you're sleeping with another man." Ouch, I hit exactly the right target. I needed to try to steer the conversation in the right direction, to let Coke know that it wasn't all bad, that this was just a small part of our lives. "Before you know it, how would you describe our marriage?" "A happy, content, perfect marriage that everyone thinks it is." "It's wonderful. I feel exactly the same way. I have my reasons, but I know what I'm doing is wrong." despite that, I've always tried to be the best wife to you, and we have a perfect life together. Yeah, except for the fact that you're sleeping with another guy and building this perfect marriage on a facade of infidelity and lies. It shouldn't affect our happiness. We're doing well, especially lately. I feel like I've gotten better in some ways, more considerate of others. Yes, you seem to be pleased with yourself. I wrinkled my nose. Damn it, Call. Those smart-ass comments aren't helping. How do you even know? So we're on the verge of divorce and all you care about is how I found out. Is this just so you can cover your tracks better next time? You apologized, but you didn't say you'd stop seeing him. It's not that simple. I'm not sure he'll be fine without me. I think he'll fall into another depression. Wow, that seems to make me realize where I am. Your priority is his well-being. What happens when I get depressed about having a cheating wife? Will I have you back then? I had never seen my kind and gentle husband so angry, and certainly never towards me, and I was scared and sad to see him like that. I want you to go away. This is my house as much. Leave now. Just get the hell out of Laura before I do something I'll regret later. I decided to go to my best friend's house, and then it hit me. Wendy, my closest friend, was the only one I confided in. That must be how Cole found out. She'd threatened to tell him, and apparently she'd decided to honor that threat. By the time I got there, I was barely holding back. I lashed out at Wendy saying, Cole kicked me out, and the only way he could have found out is if you told him. I didn't say a word to Laura. She didn't flatly deny. How could you? How could my best friend betray my trust and ruin my marriage? Her response shocked me. You know what, Laura? Go to hell. I am Cole's friend and your friend. I've known him for over 30 years. I told you this whole thing was crazy and he deserves nothing, but you wouldn't listen to me and I haven't said a word to him. I've been avoiding him for the last 3 months to keep your dirty little secret. It's pathetic to act like a lovesick teenager. The only person I've betrayed is him. Now get out of my house. Damn, kicking me out of the house was becoming a habit. Where the hell was I supposed to go? To my mom's house like the Spanish Inquisition, to Charles's house, just in time for the end of my marriage. I ended up having to go to my mom's house and make up a story about a little fight to brush off most of her questions. Wendy, I realized I had to do something important, really important, even if it was going to cost a lot. 20 minutes later, I was already knocking on the door of Cole and Laura's house. Cole answered. He looked terrified. Please tell me you're not here to exonerate her. No, I'm here to make excuses and apologize. Cole looked puzzled. Then you'd better come in. I laid it out bluntly. I'm sorry, Cole. I knew she was seeing him. I begged her to come to her senses and make her realize what she was risking. I'm sorry I didn't say anything. She's my oldest friend, but you're my friend too. I should have said something. Cole seemed to be deep in thought. The silence dragged on, and finally he spoke. I realize she put you in an awkward situation, but you'll be damned if you do and damned if you don't. I smiled. Typical Cole, calm, considered, kind. Why do you think she did it, Wendy? I think she thought she was saving him. It was friendship at first, but then it grew into something more. Are you sure kicking her out was a good decision? Wouldn't it have given him more options? Cole nodded. Talking doesn't help. She's lost in Mills and Boone's romantic love story. I agree with you, she sees herself as a heroine who saved a good man. That's why I thought that if she got kicked out, she might at least have some realization. I have no idea who she wants, me or him. She may not realize it now, Cole, but you're the one she needs. You've always been her strength and support. Laura. I knew it was dangerous, but I needed help. Charles knew what to do. He was the smartest man I knew. I called. He was happy to hear from me and suggested we meet. As usual, we agreed to meet after work at an expensive restaurant, and I didn't fail to dress up. I wanted to stay married to Cole, but I needed to keep Charles interested in case the worst happened. If Cole didn't take me back, Charles would be my backup. After all, he'd declared his love to me often enough. We just had time to sit down when Call walked in with Wendy. That damn bitch, I snapped at them just as they sat down. What the hell are you doing to my husband? I'm thinking the same thing you're doing to Charles. I've told you many times that I think Call is a great catch, and if you're stupid enough to reject that, well... I turned to Cole. You can't do that, we're married. A fact you are more than happy to ignore, he looked at Charles. It's just dinner with a friend, nothing more. Yes. By the way, great outfit if I'm not mistaken. Those are your stilted stockings and stiletto shoes. I think tonight is his lucky night, or should I say another lucky night. I felt my face turn red. Damn. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be a romantic interlude. And now I'm standing in a restaurant and my husband has just announced in everyone's ear that I'm wearing stockings in preparation to sleep with another man. Wendy lowered her gaze to my legs. The black stockings with the seams are a bit obvious and crude. Maybe you should try a sexy nurse's uniform. After all, you seem to care about his health. Wendy turned to Call and smiled. Personally, I find nude underwear much more sophisticated. I saw Cole raise his eyebrows at her. Jesus, she's flirting with him right in front of me. That bitch told you everything to split us up. She did nothing of the sort. She was trying to befriend you at my expense. I didn't see her until you accused her the other day, after which she came and apologized. She explained that you were her oldest friend and that she had repeatedly tried to convince you that you had some sense. I have to say that her apology was more convincing than yours. I didn't know what to say. It was so hurtful. Go back to your boyfriend, Laura. We're done. I burst into tears and rushed out of the restaurant. Damn it, I was losing him. Even if we managed to stay married, I could see that he would never be the same. I had gone from someone who was loved to the point of being put on a pedestal to someone he could barely tolerate. I couldn't understand how they knew we'd be at the restaurant. It couldn't have been a coincidence. And they were clearly ready to see me with Charles. Charles offered his help again, saying that he could explain everything and smooth things over if we got ready and met Call together. The offer sounded implausible, but I was willing to try anything. Call had always been faster than me in discussions and arguments, but I knew Charles could match him. Call was shocked when I went back to my old house with Charles. He stood up and I thought he was going to lash out at Charles. You're mocking me. This affects all of us, and Charles is here to help explain things properly. It was my turn to be surprised when Cole calmly sat back down. It's a good thing the three of us are in this relationship. I can't wait to hear it. I ignored his barb and began. First of all, I want to apologize to you. It was never my plan to develop a relationship with Charles, and I never meant to hurt you. I know it's hard to believe, but I really do love you. Charles spoke up. I want to apologize, too. If I was in my right mind, I would never have crossed that line. I was sick. I can honestly say that without Laura, I would have killed myself. She saved me. You look well enough. Is she still saving you, or has she just lost her mind already? You can't claim my wife because you were sick. It's still treason and total betrayal. Cole turned and looked at me with his steely blue eyes. You chose him over me. I didn't choose, but I couldn't abandon a friend under those circumstances. You could have been a friend without spreading your legs. I ignored the rude remark and began the speech I had prepared with Charles. It wasn't planned. We just got close under difficult circumstances and developed feelings for each other. I'm sorry for hurting you. You don't deserve anything like this. As I understand it, we have a few options. Oh, that's right. Then please enlighten me. Well, you can divorce me. That's the last thing I want. But I won't try to resist if that's what you want. The kids are grown now, but they still need you, both of us. I would split the money however you want, and I believe you would be fair. But that would ruin all our plans for a beautiful life together. I still want to share all those things with you if you'll let me. And if we divorce, will you move in with him? We haven't discussed that, but yes. I think it would be inevitable if you decide to leave me. You didn't get dumped on that shit show. I didn't dump you, you dumped me yourself. The second option is that I could stop seeing Charles and you'd forgive me somehow. I'm not sure that's possible. It would eat away at you, and you'd stop trusting me. I can't abandon someone I have feelings for in a time of need. I will never forgive myself. Cole laughed. Indeed, in a difficult moment. He's the least depressed guy I've ever seen. I tried not to give myself away with that remark, though I saw Charles frown slightly. Or we continue to live the way we're living now. You said you were happy, and I want more than anything for you to continue to be happy. My relationship with Charles shouldn't affect you. We still respect each other. Cole began to laugh heartily before he caught his breath. Respectful. You have no idea. I continued. In turn, I don't mind you dating someone else, even if it's Wendy. I think you're a single man and I doubt it's for you. But I understand if that's what you want. I don't want to explore anything beyond you and Charles. We could be honest. I would be the best wife for both of you. No running around, no secrets. We'd try to build trust between the three of us, and that's the option I'd prefer. Cole looked at me unblinking as if he could see right through me. I prefer option 1. Let's divorce. He was so serious that my heart pounded in my chest. Reality got me thinking, what do I have to lose? I had agreed to this ultimatum believing I had a backup plan in Charles, and he might be a better option if I had already ruined my relationship with Cole. Now I wasn't so sure. One more thing. Did he come up with that crap? I looked away. Charles looked just as uncomfortable. Jesus, Laura, you really do listen to bullshit advice. If I didn't know better, I'd think someone was trying to advise you on what to do so we'd break up. You couldn't say anything more antagonistic even if you tried. Charles pouted. Under the circumstances, it's a perfectly reasonable suggestion. Piss off, Charles. You know that divorce is my only option, just as you planned. Tell me, Laura, besides you and Wendy, who else knew about your affair? No one, only Charles. Really, maybe he bragged to a friend or friends about sleeping with a hot girl at work. That friend mentions it to someone else, and suddenly a lot of people know about it. And maybe one of them happens to know me. A cynic might assume that someone might have made sure the message got to me. Cole looked at Charles. That's why you came to our party, isn't it? You knew what I'd found out, and you wanted to see the result. Perhaps hoping I'd blow the whole thing to smithereens and you'd be there to pick up the pieces. Nonsense, I didn't know any of that. It's funny that Wendy found out about your connection at the restaurant so quickly, and through a friend, which seemed very convenient. We went there to try to talk some sense into you, even though you immediately ran to your lover. I didn't realize right away that he was glad we were there. I cried. Why did he do that? He loves me. He would never hurt me like that. It's obvious. He wants you to belong only to him. He did everything he could to get us divorced. He's just as likely to agree to share you as I am. He won't agree. Tell him, Charles. Who cares? He made his choice to leave you and divorce you. We can be together. Cole continued. Were you depressed at all, or was it all part of the plan? Of course I was. I'd like to see medical evidence to back up that diagnosis. I've already traced who said what to whom, all the way back to you. I could have blabbed to someone. I wanted to tell the whole world about us, Loris. So you pretended to be sick, took advantage of her sympathy, encouraged her to continue the affair, made sure I found out, and tried your best to keep us apart. Is that all? So what if I tried? We should be together. I'm a rich man, and I want to live life to the fullest with Laura. I loved her even when Lucy was alive. The sound of a slap echoed around the room. Charles grabbed his face. You fucking bastard! Before I could give him another slap, Cole stood up, grabbed Charles by the collar of his shirt, lifted him to his feet, and carried him forward, crashing into the front door. Consider yourself lucky. If I see you again, you're out of luck. With those words, Cole opened the door, lifted Charles to his feet again, and literally threw him out of the house. I pounced on him in a panic. I was a complete idiot, Cole. I can't believe I trusted him. I'm going to resign and never see him again. It's all a terrible mistake. I forgot what I saw in you. All the things you do without even thinking, checking to see if everything is okay, hugging me, your quiet sense of humor and cheerfulness, the way you agree with most of my brainless ideas. Please give me another chance. I can't. You can if you really want to. Is this about Wendy? No. We just went there to try to shake you up and also kick you out so you realize this isn't a romantic story. We're just friends with something in common. We were both betrayed by you. It worked. I was so jealous when I saw you both, I thought my world was falling apart. After that, I didn't think you would take me back anymore, and as a backup, I decided to stay with Charles. I never wanted to hurt you. Whether you wanted to or not, that's exactly what you did. You left me. You made a fool of me and our life together. I'm the only fool here, Cole. Please give me another chance. We had 30 wonderful years together. The lack of anger surprised me. It's too late, Laura. You wanted someone else. I wasn't enough for you. It wasn't. I was just trying to help a friend. Come on, you have to realize you're lying to yourself to assuage your conscience. You liked what he was offering, but our life together wasn't enough. This is going to be hard for you to accept, but it's very simple. You're a lying cheater. Nothing more. I think it's time for you to leave. Please don't make me leave. You'll leave or I'll leave. Under the circumstances, it should be you. Don't you think? 6 months later, we divorced. Completely simple. No mess, but my life. We did everything online. No lawyers, no counselors, no courts. I moved out, moved back in with my mom, and took a step back in time. Memories came flooding back of living there, of the joy of meeting Cole, of wedding mornings and preparing for the best day of my life. Eventually, I had to come clean to my friends and kids, and they started hinting that it must have been all Cole's fault. After all, he was an attractive guy and had to get into the game. Neither my parents nor my kids could believe it at first, and it wasn't until I finally broke down that they realized the truth of my betrayal. They didn't disown me, but our relationship was never the same again. Charles repeatedly tried to contact me. I never responded. He was an absolute snake. It turned out I was the one who was betrayed by someone who claimed to love me, and it cost me everything I held dear.